They had some chain wrestling, got a couple submissions in, but I mean, there's no catch as catch can shit.
What should there have been?
Catch as catch can shit.
Yeah, what is that?
I was expecting just like Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle at that WrestleMania where they wrestled.
Okay. Yeah,
and then Oklahoma gets on the mic to say how much better men are than women, and they are the superior of the sexes. He's like, it's not politically correct, but by God, it's the truth. And to any man who disagrees with Oklahoma, well, they're nothing more than a panty waist, utter suckling. I can't believe you turned your back on family for this piece of fish that needs to be fried. Of course, he's, thinking about food.
Yeah, of course he's doing. He sees food. The fight for his woman. That's where they're going with this.
Is she going to leave DDP again?
I don't know. Poor DDP, though, so far from the
Nash gets in the ring, grabs a mic,
Yep.
and says if Funk can crawl his way back to the ring, he can keep his WCW commissioner position. So Funk crawls to the ring. Nash says, I'm a lying son of a bitch. And he
I was
kicks
surprised
Funk's
by
ass
the
some
ending.
more.
I didn't think Benoit had ever won the title on WCW, but his life now becomes living hell.
Yes.
And we'll see if he is champion by the next pay-per-view.
Well, about that, the following night on Nitro, but moving on, we've got our Wrestling Rewind. And this week we traveled to the great state of Ohio. The city is Cincinnati for WCW Sold Out 2000. Mike Tenay, Tony Schiavone, and Bobby the Brain Heenan are on commentary. Schiavone tells us that because of the injuries to both Bret Hart and Jeff Jarrett, tonight's main event will be Psycho Sid versus Chris Benoit for the vacant World Heavyweight title. Schiavone then says we're going to look back at how the injuries to Hart and Jarrett occurred. Tenay reveals that both Hart and Jarrett are suffering from concussions. I don't know why that's funny to me. Tenay then says we're going to look back to how the injuries to Hart and Jarrett occurred. So they cut to the video. Goldberg kicks Hart right in the head, so he has a concussion. Chris Benoit did a diving headbutt to Jeff Jarrett's arm off a steel cage. Of course, Jarrett would be the one to walk away with a concussion from that instead of Benoit.
Yes, I was very confused too. Like, wait, Jarrett got the concussion from that? This guy just dove off a 20-foot cage and Jarrett's the one who's hurt.
He didn't even hit him in the head. He hit his wrist.
Yeah. And I was looking, I was like, maybe he clipped his head or something. I don't know. But
No.
you would think Benoit would be the one that got hurt.
Yes.
From that. And rumor has it, Bret Hart still has not forgiven Goldberg from that kick.
That rumor might be substantiated.
Yes.
Well, Schiavone then reiterates that because of the concussions, the main event has changed. They also need to figure out the vacant United States heavyweight title at some point. Then he talks about a triple threat theater. The Revolution and the Filthy Animals got into it during the pre-show, so now they're wrestling again. The Revolution also have a mystery partner. Then they cut to a video of the pre-show. Shane Douglas and Dean Malenko beat the fuck out of Conan. Apparently Conan had to be taken to the hospital. Then they explain the triple threat theater. Billy Kidman is wrestling Dean Malenko in a catch-as-catch-can match. That'll be fun to talk about. We have Billy Kidman then wrestling Perry Saturn in a bunkhouse brawl. Then Billy Kidman will wrestle the mystery partner in a caged heat match. Then they go over the rest of the card. Kevin Nash and Terry Funk are wrestling. If Nash wins, he becomes commissioner of WCW. If Terry Funk wins, the NWO has to disband. And who the fuck is in the NWO now? What's there to disband?
Well, I saw Bret Hart there.
It was Bret Hart and Kevin Nash. Okay, so they're not a tag team anymore?
I don't know.
So DDP and Buff Bagwell having a match. It's a last man standing. No rules, no referee. Then they cut to a video of David Flair and some guy in the back. And they're beating the shit out of Vampiro. Daphne's there to laugh. And I guess David Flair and his friend beat up Vampiro so bad, their match had to change. I think they started off as a triple threat match, and then it kind of morphed into a handicap match. I don't know. Did you catch that?
It was supposed to be a triple threat match.
Okay.
The whole time, but commentary says because they're crazy.
So it's Vampiro versus David Flair's good buddy Crowbar.
Yes.
You have Booker T and Stevie Ray wrestling. Apparently, this is the first time they're wrestling each other. I looked this up. They were involved in a fatal four-way match at Spring Stampede 97. but they never faced each other one-on-one. I was floored.
Yeah, it was surprising.
Then we also have a For the Hard Way match. This is Norman Smiley versus Fit Finlay versus Brian Knobbs versus Ming. I'm assuming it's for the hardcore title at this point. Then we have Medusa facing Oklahoma in the Battle of the Sexes. It's also for the Cruiserweight title. And we have Tank Abbott versus Jerry Flynn Shoot Fight Rules match. And then Big Vito and Johnny the Bull are also facing the Harris brothers. And the Harris brothers are, what the fuck were they called? Creative Control. And they seem to have goatees already. So the first match of the evening is Billy Kidman versus Dean Malenko in a catch-as-catch-can match. Tyson, why don't you tell us about your favorite aspect of a catch-as-catch-can match?
Well, honestly, I did like that they kept the rules of the match. Because in WCW, they have these rules and quickly forget them. But this time they actually kept the rules. So I did like that.
All right. Well, to me, this looked like a regular old match. And apparently the original idea was to remove the ropes and have a strict no leaving the ring rule. So I guess it was like a sumo match. I don't know what the fuck. They left the ropes, but they kept the no leaving the ring rule. So Dean Malenko broke that rule in less than 3 minutes. Referee Charles Robinson then called the match, and it got awkward as fuck. And no one looked happy afterward. Charles Robinson had to slide out of the ring so he can talk to Dean Malenko, who looked pissed off. Kidman was confused. I saw Dean Malenko, get him out of here. And he was whipping Charles Robinson around, yelling at him.
Yeah, like I said, they kept the rules of the match, and that's pretty much
But it wasn't a catch-as-catch-can anything. It was just a regular fucking match.
Well, to be fair, it never really got started. Like there was the headlock, and then Dean Malenko rolls out to regroup, and then that was the end of the match.
They had some chain wrestling. He got him on the mat. Got a couple submissions in, but I mean, there's no catch-as-catch-can shit.
What should there have been?
Catch-as-catch-can shit.
Yeah, what is that?
Lots of hooks and holds and shit.
Okay. Yeah, I just think they never had a chance to get started.
I was expecting just like Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle at that WrestleMania where they wrestled.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, they didn't do shit. It was just a match. But yeah, Billy Kidman moves on with a win. And Dean Malenko looks like a dumbass.
Yes, didn't understand the rules.
Well, then we have Vampiro, Crowbar, and David Flair hype video. Crowbar, who looks like an even more boring version of Canyon, lost to Vampiro. And that was it. So then Scott Hudson is supposed to interview Vampiro, but first we have to watch another hype video. Apparently the feud started because one of the Vampiro's insane clown posse wannabes tried to fuck Daphne. And at some point, Flair meets Crowbar at a gas station, then Vampiro's ICP jumped them. Jeff Jarrett, Kevin Nash, Lex Luger, I guess those are the NWO. And Arn Anderson.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett's in it, yeah.
Yeah. And Arn Anderson were involved somehow. Flair hits Arn Anderson with a crowbar. To return the favor, Anderson helps Flair and Crowbar win the tag titles. Makes sense to me. Anderson then tried to talk to Flair, but Flair was too busy not convincing anybody that he's crazy and giggling like a little girl. Then Scott Hudson interviews Vampiro. Vampiro thinks he can beat Flair and Crowbar. Then some Japanese guy interrupts Vampiro and starts gobbledygooking. Vampiro and the Japanese guy start shoving each other. And it turns out it was Masa Chono from New Japan. He was also in the NWO.
Yes. What was he even doing?
No fucking clue. And you never see him again.
Yeah. Just as random as it can get.
Then we have Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing David Flair and Crowbar. They're all giggling and pretending to be unhinged.
Yes. They're all crazy. And I think they each had crowbars.
That has to be the worst just gimmick. The crazy gimmick. It's all played the same. It's not ever convincing. Pillman did it good. Piper did it good. But that giggling shit, man.
Yeah, when you do the gimmick with the giggle, it's
just the fake laughing.
Yeah.
So it leads us to Vampiro versus David Flair versus Crowbar. Vampiro basically had a match with Crowbar that Flair got involved in occasionally. Both Flair and Crowbar looked extremely uncoordinated and sloppy. Not 1 ounce of chemistry between the two. They played this off as erratic behavior. Then Flair ends up getting Vampiro in a figure 4. And Tenay's like, a figure 4 in the woo too? Ah! Crowbar does a springboard splash to Vampiro while he's in the figure 4. And then Flair and Crowbar start fighting for absolutely no reason. And then Flair and Daphne start kissing. Daphne fucks with Vampiro, and he's about to deal with her, but he makes David Flair do it instead. Like, he tries to attack Vampiro from behind, sidesteps. Daphne gets sandwiched in the turnbuckle. Then Vampiro beats Flair with a nail in the coffin while Daphne just stood and watched and did nothing. So Vampiro single-handedly beat the tag team champions.
Yep. I don't really have anything to say.
I don't either. Marcus Buff Bagwell arrives to the arena. He looks serious. Then Mean Gene interviews the Mamalukes. That's Tony Marinara, Johnny the Bull, Big Vito, and the Disco Inferno. They are facing the Harris brothers. Vito says ain't no one tougher than them. Johnny says he's breaking their thumbs. Vito says he ain't got nothing to worry about because Disco Inferno will take care of it. Disco's like, what do you want me to do? And then Vito and Johnny yell at Disco and tell him to get his shit together, or else. So that leads us to the Harris Boys versus the Mamalukes. No idea why the Harris Boys aren't the tag team champions. Jesus Christ, they're huge. And they basically kicked the Mamalukes' ass for the entire match. Vito kept trying to get Disco Inferno to interfere. Disco would pretend not to hear or just say, what do you want me to do? Eventually, Vito pisses one of the Harris Boys off, kicks Vito's ass out of the ring. And after he felt like he sufficiently kicked Vito's ass enough, he goes to the top rope to help his brother in the ring. And then Vito comes up from behind, pushes him off the top rope. Then Vito climbs the top rope, and then Disco pushes Vito off the turnbuckle. However, Vito ended up landing on one of the Harris guys and getting the pin. And they're all like, yeah, Disco's one of us now.
It was an okay match for what it was.
I remember thinking that Big Vito was pretty big last pay-per-view, but he looked tiny compared to the Harris Boys. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're big boys.
Up next, we have Oklahoma versus Medusa with Spice. And this is for the Cruiserweight title. Oklahoma comes out wearing the Cruiserweight title. Apparently, he stole it from Medusa. And this cuts to a video of Oklahoma clobbering Medusa with a broom, then smashing a bottle of barbecue sauce over her head. And then Oklahoma gets on the mic to say how much better men are than women, and they are the superior of the sexes. He's like, it's not politically correct, but by God, it's the truth. Oklahoma says he's no athlete, but he's a man, a real man. And this real man is going to show everyone that a woman has no business in professional wrestling. And to any man who disagrees with Oklahoma, well, they're nothing more than a panty-waist, utter suckling mama's boy. He tells Medusa to bring out her fake tits so he can send her back to the kitchen where she belongs. So she comes out, match starts, and she, of course, kicks his ass. Oklahoma fights dirty. Then he tries to use the barbecue sauce, but Spice stops him. Then Asia, the Revolution, is it the Revolution? Yeah, Revolution's chick. She comes out of nowhere and kicks the shit out of Oklahoma. And then they toss him back in the ring. He pulls Medusa's panties down and then steals the pin. So Oklahoma's the new Cruiserweight title holder. After the match, he gets jumped by all the girls, and then they pour the entire bottle of barbecue sauce on him.
Down his trunks. I don't know where they're going to go from here because now Oklahoma's the champion.
Yep.
Like, just get rid of the title at that point.
No shit. I mean, they had a good run, right?
Yeah.
After that, Mean Gene Okerlund interviews the new hardcore champion, Brian Knobbs. Knobbs says he owes all of his newfound success to Fit Finley. Finley took Knobbs under his wing and helped him get the eye of the tiger back. So Knobbs promises to beat the shit out of Norman Smiley and Ming before putting Fit Finley in a coma. Because tonight, the student becomes the master. And that leads us to Norman Smiley versus Fit Finley versus Ming versus Brian Knobbs. This is for the hard way. This was just another hardcore match. Finlay and Knobs are a team, I guess, and not one time did they fight each other. But they took turns hitting Ming with weapons that had absolutely no effect on him. And then Smiley, who's dressed like a riot cop, formed an alliance with Ming at some point before the pay-per-view. And for some reason, he turned on Ming almost immediately. Then Ming goes to pin Knobs. Finlay drags Ming out of the ring, and then they start brawling on the floor. Smiley tries to capitalize on a weakened Knobs by clubbing him with a nightstick off the top rope, but Knobs was playing possum, and he whacked Smiley with a riot shield just as he's coming off. After the match, Smiley tried to hug Ming, and then he got thrown out of the ring.
I just feel bad for Ming and all this, having to be in this.
Well, Ming and Fit Finlay.
Yeah, him too. But yeah, him and Knobs, I guess, they were supposed to be a tag team. Well, they had the teacher-student dynamic that he talked about. But yeah, and then Norman Smiley and Ming had the agreement that they showed on camera. They shook hands, so they were supposed to be a team. But yes, they didn't even adhere to the team thing.
Not once.
So, I don't know. Maybe they forgot.
Well, after that, we have Billy Kidman versus Perry Saturn. Bunkhouse Brawl. So once again, we have a match with stipulations that are meaningless because this was just a regular match that had one singular pin attempt outside the ring. The only saving grace was this was a fucking fantastic match. Saturn looked jacked as fuck. He had control of most of the match, but couldn't put Kidman away. There was a table set up on the floor by Kidman, and Kidman and Saturn go back in the ring. They continue the match. It's forgotten about, right? Well, later, Kidman runs at Saturn. Saturn just snatches him up, does a belly-to-belly suplex right out of the ring through the table. I was like, oh, shit. Surprisingly, though, that wasn't the finish. And that was the one pin attempt outside the ring. And then they get back in. They go back and forth. Saturn went to the top rope, got dumped off by Kidman. And then Kidman ends up winning after countering a powerbomb into a facebuster. Not a bunkhouse brawl, though.
It wasn't. But it was a good match.
It was a great match.
Honestly, I didn't even know it was a bunkhouse brawl. I just thought it was a match. I was trying to figure out the stipulation. Obviously, I didn't rewind to figure out the stipulation. Sure. I was like, I'm sure commentary will say it, but I didn't know what kind of match it was.
So now Kidman has to face a mystery opponent in a cage. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't use the cage at this point. Stevie Ray goes to the hood. He's showing us where he and Booker T came from. And he pulls up to a cardboard box draped with some blankets, shoes, and shit. Stevie Ray goes, now you might think this is a pile of shit, but this is someone's home. This is the ghetto. This is what I'm proud of. And he's not letting Booker T forget where he came from. And Stevie Ray's walking somewhere and he runs into people. And they ask where Booker T is. And Stevie's like, I don't know, hanging out with the white folk. So Stevie Ray then guilt trips Booker T in front of a barber shop. Barber keeps asking where Booker T is. Stevie says he always tells him that Booker T doesn't have time for the hood anymore. Well, if Booker T doesn't have time for the hood, then Stevie Ray doesn't have time for Booker T. Now, on a side note, I would be pretty miffed if everywhere I go, people are asking about Booker T instead of, wanting to talk to me. Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
The strangers, these were, where's Booker T, man? Where's Booker T? All they're asking about is where you are. They care about Stevie Ray's hopes and dreams.
Well, I guess the point is they're not asking because he's always there.
Fair. Well, after that, Mean Gene interviews Stevie Ray. And Booker T will always be his brother, but the footage speaks for itself. So tonight, Stevie Ray has to teach Booker a lesson. And it's going to hurt him a lot more than it's going to hurt Stevie Ray. So we got Booker T with Midnight versus Stevie Ray. And for some reason, Booker T is dressed just like Midnight. I didn't get that at all. Booker gets on the mic before the match. He says he didn't forget where he came from. Stevie Ray did. Stevie Ray used to be someone Booker can count on, but now he found someone he can rely on and get fashion advice from. So then Booker says Stevie Ray is on his own. Stevie Ray used to call him Junior, but it's Booker T now. So come get this ass whooping. So bell rings. We're treated to one hell of a match, actually. Booker went for it as soon as the bell rang. Stevie kept cutting him off when it looked like he was about to run away with it. Then Stevie Ray attempted a slapjack. That got reversed. Booker hits a rock bottom. Then out comes Ahmed Johnson. All of Ahmed Johnson. And this causes a DQ. Booker gets hit with a slapjack and a Pearl River plunge. Midnight comes out to make puppy dog faces because Stevie Ray won't let her in the ring. Ahmed calls her a piece of fish. I can't believe you turned your back on family for this piece of fish that needs to be fried. Of course, he's thinking about food.
Yeah, of course he sees food.
Stevie Ray says we're looking at the new and improved Harlem Heat. Oh, Ahmed's called Big T in WCW. Now, at some point, Booker T and Ahmed Johnson fight over the T.
That makes sense. Both can't be having two T's.
So yeah, Ahmed Johnson is in WCW.
Yes. Apparently he couldn't find a shirt for his fit.
Well, I think his fit would be the outfit that Duggan wore that last pay-per-view.
Oh, the
jumpsuit
janitor suit?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what he was.
He could have done some crunches.
I don't know why he would agree to come and do this, knowing what you look like. The last time you were on TV, we knew what you look like, and now you're this.
The interviews that I hear of the stories involving Ahmed Johnson, it seems like he was pretty delusional. So I could see him thinking that he had a better physique than obviously what reality was.
Like, I still got it. I look the same.
But after that, Mean Gene interviews Psycho Sid. Turns out that Psycho Sid and Chris Benoit are the best of friends. And for Sid to win the world title, he has to beat his good buddy Chris. Sid says it's a conspiracy by Bret Hart and the NWO to tarnish the world title. Then he goes on to say that he and Benoit are throwing their friendship aside and they're going to go to war. But first, we have Tank Abbott versus Jerry Lynn. And apparently this is an actual fucking feud, with both men fighting each other as equals throughout the weeks, even going to jail together and brawling. So this is probably one of the closest things to an MMA fight you'll see in a professional wrestling ring, I think. I'm amazed how restrained Abbott was. He was so restrained that he missed quite a few punches.
Especially the final punch.
Yes. Hard hitting, fast. Lynn tried to win with an armbar. Abbott just picked him up and dropped him and then knocked his ass out cold after a second punch. Yeah, it's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely something.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it was quick. It was nasty. They didn't do something silly like have Jerry Lynn, take it to Abbott. Put up a bit of a fight, but, in the end.
Yeah. And, he's a black belt master, so it's supposed to be an even fight.
Well, after that, we're treated to Buff Bagwell and Diamond Dallas Page's story. Apparently, Kimberly Page and Buff Bagwell are friends somehow. So naturally, people think they're fucking. DDP starts
a hussy. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
And seemingly they used the same footage from the David Flair stuff. Like the hotel thing.
At least that,
It looked like it was the exact same footage. But now they have Buff Bagwell.
They're lazy.
Now, if Buff Bagwell was in that hotel room with Kimberly, then yes.
With Kimberly and Flair? Buff Bagwell would have been sitting in the corner crying.
No, not with Flair. Because again, this shot was from her hotel room. Or his, I don't know. Who's ever that
It was Flair's hotel room. Because remember, she came in with the little goodie bag and the pills and shit. DDP said that Flair came to her hotel room, but it was the other way around. He's a liar.
Yeah, so if he was in the hotel room alone with Kimberly, then yes, Diamond Dallas Page has all the reason to be concerned.
Well, he gets concerned anyway. And he says, Bagwell is not fucking my wife. And then he says, Bagwell's a good looking guy and a lot of chicks love him, but so do a lot of guys. And Bagwell says he'd be plowing Kimberly if she wasn't married to DDP. And then they both say the other has a small dick. Kimberly confirms DDP's is big enough for her. And then Bagwell suggests that everyone in the back fucked Kimberly and they start brawling. And that leads us to Diamond Dallas Page versus Buff Bagwell. And this is a last man standing match. I guess this is a decent match, although I'm still not believing Bagwell as an ass kicker. I just can't do it. And they fought in the crowd. The internet location made an appearance for for the first time in I don't know how many pay-per-views. But they fucked it up. They jousted with a couple of computer monitors, and they ended up fighting their way back to the ring. After a while, the ref starts obnoxiously counting to 10. DDP won't stay down, even after taking a blockbuster and getting clobbered with a police baton. Then he hits Bagwell with a diamond cutter, but somehow Bagwell is able to get to his feet first. And DDP is not able to answer the 10 count. Then Kimberly Page comes out to make faces while DDP beats the fuck out of Bagwell. I don't know where the fuck they're going with this.
Well, the fight for, I don't know, his woman. That's where they're going with this.
Is she going to leave DDP again?
I don't know. Poor DDP, though, so far from the people's champion.
Yep. Well, then the cage lowers and the lights go out. And this leads us to Billy Kidman versus our mystery man. But first, Shane Douglas comes out and talks a boatload of shit, despite Kidman being 2-0 against the Revolution. Douglas even fires shots at Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So no one's safe. So all the shit talking leads to The Wall being named as the mystery opponent. Who's The Wall, you ask? Well, that was Alex Wright's loser friend after he started going by Berlin. So to recap, WCW pulled a steel cage out of storage, transported it all the way to Cincinnati, Ohio from Atlanta, I'm assuming, just so Billy Kidman and the fucking Wall can have a steel cage match.
Yep.
Actually, it was a Hell in a Cell.
It was pretty much the War Game cage. Like, there was no way in or out.
For Billy Kidman and the Wall.
After he's wrestled 2 matches.
So Billy Kidman and this giant albino Agent Smith looking motherfucker had a Hell in the Cell match. It was competitive. Then Kidman sets up Wall for a shooting star press. Wall stands up. Kidman dives after him anyway and then gets caught with a choke slam.
I will say it was impressive that the Wall caught him off of the top rope. And if you watch the replay, Kidman's feet never touched the ground. So he caught him from the top rope. His feet never touched the ground. And then he, muscled him back up into the choke slam.
True.
So that was impressive. That's about it I got for that.
Yeah. It was too competitive for me. This Wall guy came out like a big giant monster, and Kidman wasn't fazed at all by that.
Yeah, especially when they were talking about he's supposed to be this hired gun.
Yeah.
Kidman's already wrestled twice, and he's, 3 times his size. So, yeah, it's definitely competitive for all that.
Well, after that, we have a quick Terry Funk, Kevin Nash hype video. Nash powerbombs Funk through a table. Funk brands Nash with a cow iron thing. Then they agree to have a match where Kevin Nash will either disband the NWO or he will become the new commissioner of WCW. And of course, it's a hardcore match at Funk's request.
Of course.
And that leads us to Kevin Nash versus Terry Funk. Again, if Funk wins, the NWO is disbanded again. And if Nash wins, he becomes commissioner. So Funk comes out and says, "Hey, come here, motherfucker. Let's do it right on the entrance ramp." So Nash does and decimates Funk. And then he ends up powerbombing him through the announce desk. And Nash gets in the ring. He grabs a mic and says if Funk can crawl his way back to the ring, he can keep his WCW commissioner position. So Funk crawls to the ring, rolls in. He's panting in the corner. Nash says, "I'm a lying son of a bitch." And he kicks Funk's ass some more and starts using a chair. Funk starts fighting back, starts using a chair too. And he sets up a bridge of chairs. Nash ends up powerbombing him through them. And he wins the match. And the crowd did not like Funk at all, which was kind of sad.
Yeah, he's got his ass beat for nothing.
I started feeling bad for Funk, though, man. He got no offense. Why'd you agree to the match if you weren't even going to put up a fight?
Well, it is Kevin Nash, so.
I get why he would lose. I wasn't expecting Funk to win. I wasn't expecting him to just get murdered, though. That was like Sid and Goldberg.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided.
So, yeah, Nash is the new WCW commissioner. It starts at midnight, according to them. So we see Chris Benoit doing squats, and then we see Psycho Sid pacing and talking to himself. Then Scott Hudson interviews Arn Anderson, who is the special guest referee of the main event. Hudson says Nash may be the new commissioner, but he has no say in the main event because his power doesn't start until midnight. And then Anderson laments about not being there for Funk. said the guy gambled and lost. Then he goes on to say how fucked WCW is and they don't even realize it. Anderson fucks up Kevin Nash's name, plays it off masterfully. He called him Kevin Mann or some shit. He's like, oh, Kevin Mann, I'm so distraught. Let me collect my thoughts. He says as long as WCW holds the world title, they're in the fight. If they lose the belt, the war is over. So tonight, Anderson is going to officiate a match against two of the best, and who will settle it in the ring where it belongs. And Anderson vows to make sure that happens. And there are no losers tonight because this is going to be a match for the ages. So it leads us to Chris Benoit versus Psycho Sid. And this is for the vacant WCW World Heavyweight title. Michael Buffer's out there, does his announcing. Boy, did this feel like a big fight.
It definitely did.
Anderson being involved made it like a million times better too. Like every little thing he does just screams legit. The way he even like casually raised his hand, like it's not about me.
Yeah.
So they start, Saturn comes out cosplaying as Eddie Murphy. David Flair comes out, and then we see the entire locker room come out to the entrance ramp watching. They made it a big deal, but we saw this happen. It was one of the earlier pay-per-views where they came out to see if, like Flair and Hogan maybe.
Was it?
Yeah, everybody bought tickets because they wanted to see the match.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forget what match that was, but yeah, I remember that. I was thinking, didn't we just see this in ECW too, though? Not that I was taking it away from it. I was just like, oh, we just saw that in ECW.
So Sid outpowers Benoit at first. Benoit has to start working on Sid's legs. They fight on the floor. Benoit sets Sid's legs up against the steel ring post, drop kicks the steel steps into it a couple times. Then they get back in the ring. Benoit locks Sid in a figure four leg lock. Sid reverses it, and then Benoit just kicks Sid's ass for a while, targeting his legs. Sid hulks up, tries to run wild, but Benoit drop kicks Sid right in the leg, so he's down again. And then he goes for the rolling German suplexes. Sid escapes after the first one, hits a power slam. Benoit gets Sid in a leg lock. Sid hulks up just so he can grab the ropes, which I thought was great. Benoit hits a German suplex, then a diving headbutt. Sid does a monster kick out and hits a choke slam. After the choke slam, Sid goes for the pin, but Benoit's foot's under the ropes. Then Benoit locks in the crippler crossface, and the man that never quits tapped immediately. Kept saying he was the man that never quits because he got his ass kicked by Goldberg.
Yeah, he got turned to mush by Goldberg. Like, he won't quit. He got his ass beat so bad.
It's worth noting that Sid's foot was under the ropes as well. So yeah, it just ends. Sid leaves. Benoit celebrates as champion, and then Mean Gene interviews Benoit to close the show in the back. Benoit said people said he would never amount to anything, but look at him now. And Anderson pulls up to congratulate Benoit. Then Nash pulls up to say, as WCW commissioner at the stroke of midnight, Benoit's life is going to be a living hell, and the NWO is taking the title. And Benoit says, good luck. And that is Sold Out 2000.
I was surprised by the ending. I didn't think Benoit had ever won the title on WCW, so by that logic, I thought Sid was going to win, but he didn't.
So, well, I knew Chris Benoit won the title. What I wasn't expecting was Chris Benoit to be so dominant in this match. Like, he kicked Sid's ass.
I guess to be fair, he did, kick the steps into his knee.
Yeah, he worked on his leg. It made sense as to why he would have kicked his ass. I just wasn't expecting him to do so.
Yeah, especially the way it started, because Sid's power, he's overpowered by Sid. And then, he got the leg thing going and never really
neutralized that power shit real quick.
Yeah. Then he turned into the Mac technician that he is. And Sid never really got back into it at that point.
And Benoit is now the new heavyweight champion. Finally, the boyhood dream is realized.
Yes, but his life now becomes a living hell.
Yes.
And we'll see if he is champion by the next pay-per-view.
Well, about that, the following night on Nitro, Chris Benoit is stripped of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
There it is.
Arn Anderson determined that Sid's foot was indeed under the ropes when Benoit performed his submission hold. In reality, though, Benoit left for the WWF. and relinquished the title due to management disputes. Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn also departed in solidarity with Benoit. And I think they kind of led Shane Douglas to believe that he was coming with them too, but that never happened.
Oh.
WCW then refused to recognize Benoit's reign. The reign was later recognized by the WWF after they bought WCW.
So they were butthurt so bad that they're like, nope,
Yes.
you didn't win. No.
As a result of Benoit leaving, a tournament was organized to determine who wins the vacated World Heavyweight title. On an episode, another tournament. On an episode of Nitro, Psycho Sid defeated the Harris brothers for the right to face Kevin Nash, who became the commissioner, of course. Sid then defeated Nash to win the vacant title. However, he was stripped of the World Heavyweight Championship on the next episode of Thunder after pinning the wrong Harris brother, I guess. This led to a triple threat steel cage match between Sid, Nash, and Ron Harris for the vacant title. Sid went on to win the championship by forcing Nash to submit, and he would remain champion until WCW rebooted.
Is that a pay-per-view?
No. WCW under Vince Russo sucked so bad that they had to bring Eric Bischoff back, and then they kind of just blew everything up and started over. Storyline-wise and champions and shit.
Okay. This is why it's falling off the rails.
Oh, yeah. Although I will say this wasn't a bad pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was WCW Sold Out 2000. Our next WCW pay-per-view is Super Brawl. We are in Daly City, California. The main event is Scott Hall versus Jeff Jarrett versus Psycho Sid. This is a three-way dance for the World Heavyweight Championship. But before that, we have ECW Living Dangerously, 1999. This is the second Living Dangerously pay-per-view produced by ECW. It took place from the Ashbury Park Convention Hall in Ashbury Park, New Jersey. 8 professional wrestling matches took place. The main event was Sabu versus Taz. This is an extreme death match to unify the ECW and FTW World Heavyweight titles. Super Crazy and Tajiri have a rematch. We have Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam for the ECW World Television title. And we have New Jack versus Mustafa. Should be interesting. You have the Dudley Boys versus Spike Dudley and Psycho Sid. That should be even more interesting. And we have Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas versus the Impact Players. Which I'll be all in for that. Should be the match of the night.
I would say probably RVD and Jerry Lynn.
Okay.
This is my guess.
But that is our Wrestling Rewind.
Good stuff.